Hello, sixth graders. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about the Silk Road and just identifying the problems and benefits of the Silk Road. We're also going to be talking about a new version of Buddhism and just contrasting that with some biblical truth. And then we're also going to be talking about the social changes that happened in ancient China with the Han Dynasty. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's look at our focus questions that we have today. By what means did Buddhism enter China? And why were boys valued more than girls? So this is something that happened in ancient China. Buddhism entered China because there were no social media. There was no Snapchat. There was no technology. So how would you get an idea across to someone if you had no technology? No letters. That's also a form of technology that I'm talking about. So unless you're willing to walk your idea over across this whole span down here, Egypt, you got to go all the way down here. Follow the Silk Road, China. So you're going all the way down here, and that is a long way to walk. So how would you get an idea all through there? And why were boys valued more than girls? We will be taking a look at that too. Let's go ahead and dig in. Trade routes. Emperor Wu Ti sent his general Zhang Qian to explore regions of the west of China. Wu Ti wanted him to find allies to help defend China from its enemies, especially the ones from the north. Zhang Qian was unable to find allies for China, but he brought back information from his travels. And he had discovered a breed of horse that would be useful in battle. These horses were larger and more powerful than the ones in China. Wu Ti encouraged a trade with a foreign king to get these horses for China's cavalry. So what would make a bigger, more powerful horse important in war or in battle? Well, obviously, they would last longer in battle. They could just destroy another horse or another person. So that's something to keep in mind. That's why China wanted them. Trade routes formed as the Chinese began trading with other regions. The main trade route was called the Silk Road. The Silk Road stretched about 4,000 miles from China to lands in the west, and the Silk Road was named after the most famous item that it was carried on, silk. Traveling on the Silk Road was difficult and dangerous, and merchants traveled together in groups for protection. They hired armed guards to protect them from bandits who stole goods and water. And traders used the Bactrian camel to transport goods. This two-humped camel endured the extreme heat of the desert and the freezing cold of the mountains. Silk and fine pottery from China were highly valued by people in other lands. And Chinese merchants traded with those people and brought home horses and new products such as fruit and cotton. Other civilizations eventually exchanged ideas and inventions with China. Buddhism comes to China. Let's see, how does Buddhism come to China? The Silk Road and other trade routes brought products and ideas from other lands. This included religion. Merchants and teachers from India brought Buddhism to China in the 2nd century AD. As Buddhism spread from India to other countries, it developed into Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism was the branch that spread to China. Unlike Theravada Buddhists, Mahayana Buddhists believe it is a duty to help others reach nirvana, the state of peace or bliss. A Mahayana Buddhist hopes to become a Bodhisattva. And a Bodhisattva is a person who's reached enlightenment but delays nirvana to help others reach enlightenment. So let's talk about Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism teaches that everything people see is an illusion. The Bible teaches that God's creation is very good, but it's cursed as a result of the fall. And one day, creation will be restored. Buddhism teaches that the ultimate goal for people is the state of nirvana. a state of freedom from suffering and desires. The Bible teaches that people will not be completely delivered from sin and suffering until they are reunited with Christ, and the Christian looks forward to a glorified body and a new creation. Society during the Han Dynasty, there was a time of social change. Social classes became more rigid, and Confucianism divided people into 4 classes. The upper class was made of the emperor, his court, and scholars who held governmental positions. The second class, which was the largest, was the peasants. And the third class was the artisans, and merchants made up the lowest class because they did not produce goods for society. A person's class had nothing to do with wealth or power, which is odd, right? The peasants were poor, yet made up of the second highest class. Merchants were often very wealthy, but ranked as the lowest class. The lifestyles of people, however, did vary according to their wealth. The emperor and his court lived in a larger palace, and many of the wealthy families lived on larger estates. They filled their homes and their tombs with expensive and beautiful things. They hired laborers to farm their land and private armies to defend it. Most people were poor, though, and they lived in the countryside. They wore plain clothes and lived a simple life. And the peasants worked long days. Farming in the winter, they were forced to work on governmental building projects. The Han believed that the family should be strong, and children were taught to respect their elders. Disobeying parents was a crime. So, in ancient China, if you disobeyed your parents, it's a crime. You heard that right. Children also honored dead parents with offerings and ceremonies. Boys were valued more than girls because sons carried on the family line and were responsible for the care of elderly parents. By AD 220, the last of the Han rulers had been overthrown, and for the next 400 years, China suffered from internal wars and invasions. But it would unify and flourish once again during a period known as China's Golden Age. The influence of ancient China has continued across the centuries. Chinese inventions such as paper and the seismoscope made life more convenient. The Chinese laid the foundation for many advances that would later follow. And today, many of the things we enjoy come from ancient Chinese and their culture. So, basically, what you guys are going to be doing is answering these focus questions. You should definitely be able to answer them after this reading. I've given you the assignment in the assignment sheet. So if you liked this video, just go ahead and click like down below and subscribe. Thank you.